Working with Julianne Moore is absolutely such an incredible experience. I felt like I was in the best acting masterclass that I could possibly be in, especially when you're doing such dramatic and crazy scenes like that. But it's, as an actor, being able to have characters that kind of let you explore crazy parts of yourself, I really enjoy. And Claire definitely touched a very deep part of me. I don't want to say it was difficult, but when I got to horseback ride, and for me the hardest part was having to actually rap. I didn't want to rap because I fell in love with the horses, and I was like, I know I only have one scene where I get to ride horses, so I really wanted to keep doing it, so that was hard. He's absolutely just fantastic. He has such a vision for what he wants to bring to the audience, and his storytelling through his characters, and it was just so rooted in relationships. It was just beautiful seeing it through his eyes. And whenever we would talk about Claire, we started talking about this YouTube series, and it was about this guy that would go and interview a bunch of homeless people from Skid Row, and we would just watch and study all these different characters and find different ways that would influence Claire. I'm excited to see what people think is going to happen in Echo Valley. I don't think that they know.
It was so well written. It was really an honestly wonderful, really surprising relationship story that also happens to be a thriller. So it was sort of my two favorite things. I like, as an actor, I love relationships. As an audience, I love a thriller. She's such a wonderful young actress. Her work ethic is insane. She's so committed. She's so emotionally available. She was a really, really wonderful partner. I think Michael's he's just a great filmmaker. First of all, he was very calm. We had sort of one disaster after another. We were shut down by the strike. We were shut down by smoke. We had lightning things that shut us down. He was always patient. He's always so capable. He had a kind of a great view of the movie and what he wanted to achieve, and a real understanding of human behavior.
I've known Julianne for a while, and we worked on something together in Rome, kind of a short, which was really fun, but this was something with a little more meat on it, I guess, so we really got to dig in, and I have a really lovely scene with her that I enjoyed working on, and she's so great. I'm just a huge fan of hers. It always helps, I think, when you have a friendship or worked with someone before, you have kind of a shorthand. As actors, when you come onto a set anyway, you immediately create a shorthand because you need to connect really quickly. And she's so open and available, and she's such a talented actress. The back and forth between the two of us felt very real and very in the moment. She's so present as an actress, so all those things really make it really a pleasure to work with her. Yeah, he's a little darker, he's a little edgier, he's got more anger. I tend to play sort of a nice guy for the most part. A couple of roles were not like that, but it was a chance to really dig into something real. And she has kids, I have a boy, and so it's easy to tap into that reality, I think, and carry it forward into the scene. So that was part of it too. Michael's great, because I came in with some ideas about the scene, and he had some ideas about the scene, and we both worked well off of each other, I guess, in this particular thing. And he's a very gentle director, but very specific, which I appreciate. He creates an atmosphere on set that's very conducive to creativity, and I love that.
The chance to work with Julianne Moore was, all it takes, really. And I was saying before that she was everything you could hope for, everything I was hoping she would be, just the best actress to be across from. When you're working with someone across from you as talented as she is, it's really about being present and taking in what she's giving you. And she was there from the get-go, from the word go. She was ready. So it was just, holding on and trying to give her something to play with. His writing speaks for itself. I'm a fan of all of his work, so this was just a joy to get to say these words and be a part of this world. It's so vibrant, and it's all there on the page. So I know that, the work that they do, that Apple TV does, is so, top level. I'm so proud to be a part of that, and this doesn't let you down. I just know it's up there with all the other stuff that they do.
It was a chance to do a totally different sort of character. He's sort of very threatening in a very unusual sort of way. Chance to work with Julianne and Sydney. and our fantastic director, Michael. So it was like, and the script was amazing. Brad, who wrote the script, is fantastic. So it was like across the board, an incredible opportunity, and I loved it. Brad, the writer, had worked with Chief Dave, as chief of police, on the script, and so I went on a sort. It wasn't a ride along, but he brought me around a few neighbourhoods and to try and get some research done, and I found that really interesting, and talked me through some case files and stuff like that, and looked at a lot of videos and all that. So, but it was fun. It was fun trying to make the character real, because he could just be a typical bad guy, but it was nice to make him real. They're just like insanely brilliant actors, the pair of them. I didn't have as much with Sydney, I had a lot more with Julianne, but like you're going to do everything in your power to work with an actor of that quality, and Sydney as well was just amazing on set. So it lived up to what I was hoping it would be, and I feel very lucky.
It was a great process working with Michael. I think we really connected from the jump, and I think we shared a lot of the same ideas about how to make adjustments to the story and how to turn it into a bit more of a thriller, yet also keep the characters at the front of the piece. And I thought, we just connected in terms of the sensibility of the movie. How do you make a grounded thriller, a thriller that embraces the genre expectations, while also trying to add some complexity to the characters and having some great little twists and turns in the middle. Well, that's the great joy of having actors like that. You don't have to do a ton of work. They're so, they're such pros. They're so talented. They've done it. They've done it so many times now. I think when you have actors at that caliber, you trust them. When they bring you ideas or notes, you listen to them because they know what they're talking about. And it was just such a joy and a blessing to have such amazing actors who are really passionate about the material. So it was really a gift.
Brad, Michael, I'd seen both of their films, and in Brad's case, television shows before and movies. And then the cast, Sydney, Julianne, Domhnall, Kyle, Fiona. I mean, it was like a no-brainer. They're incredible. They're both incredible actors. I mean, Julianne is in many of my favorite movies, and is someone that I've looked up to my entire life. And then Sydney is someone who I've been amazed by over and over in the last several years. And it's really cool because I think Sydney really gets to do something here that I knew she could do, and that I've seen little bits of in other projects, but she's incredible in the film. I love everything on Apple TV, and I really mean that. I mean, my favorite shows are on Apple TV. It's great because people get to see it very immediately. It'll be in people's homes in 2 weeks, so they can look forward to being able to watch it not long after we get to see it tonight.
Brad's writing is really rich. It has complex adult themes, and it's got these great characters. So I was kind of moved by the script, and I found that central relationship between mother and daughter so complex and sort of difficult, but also heartening. And it's very tense. You just kind of rip through it, and to get all of those things like themes and to be affected by it and for it to be tense all in one script is really rare. A lot of it was in the script. It just the emotional logic was there. And so spend a lot of time working with actors individually just so that we could sound each other out and make sure our ideas are in sync about the character. Doesn't mean that we need to agree on everything. In fact, we might have differences of opinion and we want to try it a few different ways, and that there's something to discover on the day. And so, there was a lot of prep work done in that regard. Particularly with Sydney, we spent a lot of Zoom calls speaking to each other about Claire's addiction and how she got to that place and how much she's just lost, how much she's manipulating her mother. Julianne, I spoke to her about, it's a question that we didn't really want to land on the answer, but how heroic is her character, or how much is she just the victim of abuse? And that's a kind of really fuzzy line, and that we couldn't find an exact answer. There was something appealing about that.
It really started with Brad Ingelsby's writing, and Brad is a long-time collaborator of mine. We've made 2 other films prior to this, and he's just one of those remarkably talented people that can draw real characters and create emotion and create real tension with thrillers and with crime, and I just find his writing jumps off the page. And so whenever I read something like that, I immediately sit up straight because I know I have something good. So with Brad, every time I've been given a movie he's written, I know it's something I want to do. So it started with him. These things always take a long time, but with this movie, every one of our first choices said yes. It was the easiest process because of the writing, and Michael Pearce. So we had a wonderfully talented director who's made really sturdy, great films, but also with Brad's script, the 2 of them together kind of made this a really enticing proposition. So we went to Julie, we went to Sydney, they both said yes. We went to Domhnall, he said yes. We went to, the rest of our cast, they said Fiona Shaw, they said yes. It was that never happens. But when you have material like that, it works. They're hands down the most supportive studio in town, from my experience. We've made 4 movies in 4 years with them. I'm in production on another film right now in Toronto with Sean Hayter called Being Human. And with Apple, when they buy into what you're making, you just have the full force of their creative support, financial support, marketing support across the board. So for this movie, not a lot of people are making this movie these days at this price, and so when you get Apple behind you, you feel supported, you feel taken care of.